Hello, everyone. This is Vidya from English Magus, your virtual English mentor and guide. Welcome to today's video where we'll explore an important part of your Class 12 CBSE English syllabus, invitation writing. Whether it's a wedding, a birthday party, or a formal event, knowing how to craft the perfect invitation and reply is essential. We'll break down the different types of invitations, formal printed invitations, formal letters, informal letters, and the appropriate replies for each. By the end of this video, you'll be well prepared to tackle any invitation-related question in your exams. Let's begin with formal printed invitations. These are typically used for events like weddings, official ceremonies, or large gatherings. They are printed on cards and are more elaborate. Here's how to structure one. First, you'll want to start with the event name. This should be a clear mention of what the event is, right at the beginning. For example, if you're writing a wedding invitation, you might start with wedding invitation. This immediately tells the reader what the invitation is for. Next, we move on to the host's names. This is where you mention who is hosting the event. A common way to phrase this is, Mr. and Mrs. Sharma request the pleasure of your company. The host's names help the recipient know who is inviting them, adding a personal touch to the invitation. Following that, you'll include the invitation text. This is where you provide more details about the event, such as, on the auspicious occasion of their daughter's wedding. The text should be formal and reflect the significance of the event. One of the most important parts of any invitation is the date, time, and venue. Clearly state when and where the event will take place, such as, the wedding will be held on May 25, 2024, at 6 p.m. at the Grand Palace, New Delhi. This information ensures that your guests know exactly when and where to be. Finally, don't forget to include the RSVP details. This is where you provide contact information for guests to confirm their attendance. For example, you could write, please RSVP by May 15, 2024, to Mr. Sharma at 987-654-3210. Providing RSVP details helps the hosts plan accordingly based on the number of attendees. RSVP stands for the French phrase Répondez s'il vous plaît, which translates to please respond in English. It is a request for the recipient of an invitation to let the host know whether or not they will be attending the event. Including RSVP details in an invitation allows the host to get an accurate count of attendees, which is important for planning the event. Let me give you a very important tip. You should always use formal, respectful language. The design and layout should reflect the event's formality. Here is an example of formal printed invitation. Pause the video and read it. Next, we have formal letter invitations. These are usually sent out for official functions, business events, or formal gatherings like school or college events. The structure is similar to other formal letters, but with a focus on the invitation aspect. Here's how it's done. First, let's start with the sender's address. Your address should be placed at the top left corner of the letter. This helps the recipient know where the invitation is coming from. Make sure to include your complete address, so there's no confusion. Next, just below the sender's address, you'll include the date. This indicates when the letter was written. It's important to format the date correctly, for example, August 15, 2024. Following the date, include the receiver's address. This is the address of the person or organization you are inviting. It should be placed below the date, aligned to the left as well. Now, we move on to the subject. The subject line should clearly state the purpose of the letter. For example, you could write, Invitation to Annual Day Celebration. This lets the reader know immediately what the letter is about. Next is the salutation. Use a formal greeting, such as Dear Sir/Madam, or the appropriate title for the recipient. This sets a respectful tone for the letter. Now, let's get into the body of the letter. Since the word limit of the entire invitation is 50 words, we should complete it within one paragraph. Start with an introduction that briefly states the event and the purpose of the invitation. For example, "We are pleased to invite you to our school's annual day celebration." This gives the reader a clear idea of what the letter is about. Include information like the date, time, venue, and any special instructions. For instance, the event will take place on September 10th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the school auditorium. Please be seated by 4:45 p.m. This ensures the recipient has all the necessary information. Finally, express your hope for their presence and include RSVP details. For example, "We hope you will be able to join us on this special occasion. Please confirm your attendance by September 1st, 2024 by contacting us at 123-456-7890. This helps the hosts plan accordingly. To close the letter, use a formal closing like, "Yours sincerely," followed by your name. This wraps up the letter on a polite and respectful note. Here is an example of formal letter invitation. Pause the video and read it. Moving on to informal letter invitations, these are used for personal events like birthday parties, family gatherings, or casual get-togethers. The tone is friendly and warm. The structure is less rigid compared to formal invitations. Here's how you can write one. Since it's informal, feel free to express your excitement about the event. Just like with any letter, you start with the sender's address. Place your address at the top of the letter. This helps the recipient know where the invitation is coming from. Since it's an informal letter, you can be a bit more relaxed with the details. Next, you'll want to include the date just below your address. This indicates when the letter was written. For example, August 15th, 2024. It's always good to have a date for reference. Now, let's move on to the salutation. Since this is an informal invitation, you can use a personal greeting like, "Dear John," or "Hi Sarah." This sets a friendly and warm tone right from the start. Now for the body of the letter. Since the word limit of the entire invitation is 50 words, we should complete it within one paragraph. Start with an introduction that includes a warm greeting and a mention of the event. For example, "I hope this letter finds you well. I'm writing to invite you to my birthday party next weekend." This gives your friend or family member a warm welcome into the invitation. Next, provide the details about the event. Include the date, time, and venue, and don't forget to add a personal note. For example, "The party will be on September 10th at 5 p.m. at my place. It would mean so much to me if you could join us. We're planning some fun games and a great dinner." This makes the invitation more personal and engaging. Finally, close the letter with a friendly sign-off. You can use something like, "Best regards, yours affectionately," or even "See you soon." Then, sign your name. This keeps the tone friendly and personal, just like the rest of the letter. Here is an example of informal letter invitation. Pause the video and read it.
Now let's talk about replying to invitations. Formal replies are written for official events or formal gatherings. They should be polite, concise, and to the point. Here's the structure. Start with the sender's address. This is your address and it should be placed at the top of the letter. This helps the recipient know where the response is coming from. Next, include the date just below your address. The date is important for record keeping and helps the recipient know when you responded. Following the date, add the receiver's address. This is the address of the person or organization that sent you the invitation. It should be placed below the date, aligned to the left. Now use a formal salutation like, "Dear Sir/Madam." This keeps the tone respectful and professional. Body of acceptance reply. Now let's get into the body of the letter. The body is typically short and straightforward. If you are accepting the invitation, start by expressing your pleasure in accepting it. For example, "I am pleased to accept your kind invitation to the annual day celebration on September 10th. This shows your appreciation for the invitation. Body of declining reply. If you need to decline the invitation, politely express your regret and if possible, provide a reason. For example, I regret to inform you that I will be unable to attend the annual day celebration due to a prior commitment. This shows respect for the invitation while explaining your absence. Finally, close the letter with a polite sign-off like yours sincerely or yours faithfully, depending on the context. Then sign your name to complete the letter. Remember, the tone of your response should always be polite and respectful, regardless of whether you're accepting or declining the invitation. Here is an example of reply accepting the invitation. Here is an example of reply declining the invitation. Finally, let's look at informal replies. These are used for personal events and should match the tone of the invitation. Here's how to structure one. Sender's address. First, start with the sender's address. That's your address placed at the top of the letter. This is a standard part of any letter, even an informal one. Next, include the date just below your address. This lets the recipient know when you wrote the letter. Now, use a personal salutation like, Dear John, or Hi Sarah. Since this is an informal letter, feel free to use a relaxed and friendly greeting. Body of acceptance reply. The body of your letter is usually just a single paragraph. If you're accepting the invitation, express your happiness to attend. For example, I'm so excited to come to your party on Saturday. I've been looking forward to it. This shows your enthusiasm and sets a positive tone. Body of declining reply. If you need to decline, do so politely and try to give a reason. For example, I'm really sorry but I won't be able to make it to your party. I've got a family commitment that day. This keeps the tone respectful while explaining your absence. Finally, end the letter with a friendly sign-off like, Best wishes, take care, or See you soon, followed by your name. This keeps the tone warm and personal. Remember, the tone of your response should match the tone of the invitation. Friendly, warm, and personal. Here are examples of informal acceptance and declining replies. Pause the video and read them. And that's it. Understanding the different types of invitations and replies, formal and informal, is key to scoring well in your exams and being prepared for real-life situations. Remember, the tone and structure vary depending on the formality of the event. With practice, you'll be able to write invitations and replies effortlessly. Thank you for watching and best of luck with your studies.